Hi everyone, it is Monday again. I'm here to read you Magic Treehouse book number 23, Twister on Tuesday. We had a really great week last week doing our Spirit Week and having meetings every day. Now it's back to work. We are going to continue our Letter of the Week and our Magic Treehouse books and posting some more activity videos for you to follow along with and enjoy. So, without further ado, let's get on to Twister on Tuesday. I'll read the prologue since it's been a little while since we read one of our Jack and Annie books. So, prologue. One summer day in Frog Creek, Pennsylvania, a mysterious treehouse appeared in the woods. 8-year-old Jack and his 7-year-old sister Annie climbed into the treehouse. They found that it was filled with books. Jack and Annie soon discovered that the treehouse was magic. It could take them to the places in the books. All they had to do was point to a picture and wish to go there. Along the way, Jack and Annie discovered that the treehouse belongs to Morgan le Fay. Morgan is a magical librarian from Camelot, the long-ago kingdom of King Arthur. She travels through time and space gathering books. In Magic Treehouse books number 5 through 8, Jack and Annie help free Morgan from a spell. In books number 9 through 12, they solved 4 ancient riddles and became master librarians. In Magic Treehouse books numbers 13 through 16, Jack and Annie had to save 4 ancient stories from being lost forever. In Magic Treehouse books numbers 17 through 20, Jack and Annie freed a mysterious little dog from a magic spell. In Magic Treehouse books number 21 through 24, Jack and Annie have a new challenge. They must find 4 special kinds of writing for Morgan's library to help save Camelot. They are about to set off to find the 3rd of these. Super exciting. All right, let's get started. Chapter 1, Tuesday. Jack opened his eyes. Sunlight streamed through his window. Tuesday, he whispered. Morgan's note had told him and Annie to come back to the Magic Tree House on Tuesday. He could hardly wait to find out where she was sending them today. Jack scrambled out of bed. He threw on his clothes. He packed his notebook and pencil into his backpack. Then he headed into the hall. Jack bumped into Annie. She was dressed in jeans and a t-shirt. Tuesday, they both whispered. Together they hurried down the stairs. Mom, Dad, we're going out for a few minutes, shouted Jack. Don't you want breakfast first? His dad called from the kitchen. When we get back, said Annie. They rushed out the front door. They ran down the street in the bright summer sunlight. A warm wind gently shook the trees as Jack and Annie headed into the Frog Creek woods. Soon they came to the tallest tree in the woods. The Magic Tree House waited for them in the high branches. Jack and Annie grabbed the rope ladder and climbed up. Inside the shady treehouse, the note from Morgan was still on the floor. Dear Jack and Annie, Camelot is in trouble. To save the kingdom, please find these 4 special kinds of writing from my library. Something to follow, something to send, something to learn, something to lend. Thank you, Morgan. Okay, said Jack. We have the first writing, something to follow. He picked up a list from the Civil War. And we have the second, said Annie. Something to send. She picked up a letter from the Revolutionary War. Now we need the 3rd, said Jack. Something to learn. No problem, said Annie. She grabbed a book lying in the corner. I hope we're not going to another war. Jack and Annie looked at the cover. It showed a field of tall green grass. The title was Life on the Prairie. The prairie, said Annie. Bertie went to the prairie the time we met Black Hawk. Yes, said Jack, remembering their adventure with the Native American boy. He opened the book and turned to a picture of an old-fashioned train crossing the prairie. Oh, he said, I get it. Trains crossed the prairie after the pioneers came. When we went to the prairie before. Native Americans were the only people who lived there. So we must be going to pioneer time, said Annie. I think so, said Jack. He pointed at the picture that showed the train crossing the prairie. I wish we could go there, he said. The breeze picked up. The wind started to blow. The tree house started to spin. It spun faster and faster. Then everything was still. Absolutely still. So Jack and Annie are remembering they went to the prairie before, in one of the previous stories, when they met the Native American boy Black Hawk with the buffalo. And now they're realizing that years later, pioneers came to America and they started settling where the Native Americans were living. So now they're going when it wasn't just Native Americans there, but when the pioneers came. So we get to learn about them. Chapter 2, Signs of Life. Jack opened his eyes. He was wearing pants with suspenders and a shirt with the sleeves rolled up. In place of his backpack was a leather bag. Annie was wearing a long dress and a sunbonnet. I like my hat, she said. It'll keep the sun off my face. Yeah, except the sun's not shining, said Jack. So here they are in their pioneer clothes. He and Annie looked out the window. The sky was cloudy. The tree house had landed in a small grove of trees near a creek. Beyond the trees was a wide, open prairie. Green grass and wildflowers swayed in a chilly wind. In the distance, a train puffed across the prairie. Sparks of fire came out of its smokestack. Huge clouds of black smoke billowed into the gray sky. Wow, said Jack. He looked at the picture of the train in their book and read, after the Civil War, the U.S. government built railroads to link the eastern and western parts of the country. By the 1870s, steam engines carried people across the Kansas prairie. Jack pulled out his notebook and wrote 1870s trains across Kansas. Let's get going, said Annie. We have to find that special writing for Morgan. She started down the ladder. Jack packed his things in his leather bag and climbed down after her. When he stepped onto the ground, Jack looked toward the west. The train was gone. Only a thin trail of smoke floated across the sky. That train was cool, said Jack. Yeah, and so is that, said Annie. She pointed in the other direction. Far away in the distance, a line of covered wagons rolled through the rippling grass. Their white coverings billowed in the breeze. Jack pulled out the research book. He found a picture of the wagon train. He read aloud. Wagons were the most common way for families to travel west. They could carry clothes, tools, food, and water. A line of wagons was called a wagon train. The white cloth coverings over the wagons also made them look like sailing ships or schooners. For this reason, covered wagons were sometimes called prairie schooners. Jack looked at the wagons again. They did look like ships sailing across the rippling green sea. So if you see all the way back here, those are the covered wagons, and they do kind of look like sailboats or schooners, which is like a name for a sailboat. But that's all people traveling west in their covered wagons. He wrote in his notebook, covered wagons equals prairie schooners. Let's get a closer look, said Annie. She took off across the grass. Jack put away his things and ran after her. As they ran, the wind began to blow harder. The clouds overhead grew darker. Wait, Jack finally called to Annie. We'll never catch up to it. They both stopped running. Panting, they watched the wagon train vanish over the horizon. Jack took a deep breath. What now? He said. They looked around. All Jack could see was the distant grove of trees with the treehouse. With the train and wagon train gone, there were no signs of life anywhere. No pioneer cabins, no Native American teepees. How can we find the special writing? Said Jack. There's nothing out here. Oh, yeah, said Annie. What's that? She pointed to a rusty pipe sticking out from the top of a small hill. Streaming from the pipe was a column of black smoke. Oh man, said Jack. That's definitely a sign of life. So that was chapters 1 and 2. Tomorrow we'll read chapter 3 and 4, and chapter 3 is called One Room Schoolhouse. I'll give you a little sneak peek of what's to come. And I'm wondering if right here is that pipe they saw sticking out of the hill. All right, so tomorrow we'll find out about the one-room schoolhouse and what Jack and Annie will find as something to learn for Morgan le Fay. All right, my friends, it's great to see you again on a Monday, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.